You send the link out?
Yeah. And then you should.
Did you send the link to me?
Did I send it to you?
Mm-hmm.
See if it comes up on your phone.
Look at that. No, that's something I sent you.
It would have been an email.
Dun, 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 dun. Mm-hmm.
Would have been this one right here. Yeah, it's up and running.
Oh, cool. Doesn't show, I guess you're not, there it is.
Test 1, 2.
There you go.
All right, we are going to get started. First off, if you haven't signed in, can you do that? You guys haven't? Awesome. And make sure I'm on the screen here. Okay. That doesn't look like it.
It is.
It should advance. Bear with us, we're dealing with a couple minor technical things. If I need to, I can just get next slide. All right, welcome. I'm Robert Haynes. Thanks for joining us today. A little background on me. I'm 70, almost 71. Can you believe that? I started flying in 1971. I was at the age of 15, and I sold on my 16th birthday. I got to come on in. I got to sold on my 16th birthday, and I got my driver's license that afternoon. So literally, I could fly before I could drive, which is kind of cool. Grew up flying in Alaska. Riverbeds, mountaintops, seaplane, salmon fishing, moose hunting, sheep, all that stuff. It was awesome. Other than Tim, anybody else seaplane rated? It's the best rating in the world, right? There's nothing better than seaplane. It's just awesome. So fast forward, August 3rd, 1981. Do you guys remember what happened that day? Ronald Reagan, air traffic controllers. He said, either show up or you're fired. And he fired 15,000 controllers. And I said, I'll take one of those jobs. So I went to work at Indy Center. I did that for 5 years. And then I transferred to, I'm sorry, that was Anchorage Center. And then in 86, I transferred to Anchorage Center. I was there for another 24 years, retired 15 years ago. Fast forward, ended up doing some corporate work, twin Cessnas, single pilot captain. Went to work for a large flight school, mentoring CFIs. Then I got recruited to be a Bravo captain. Didn't get to finish that because I was caring for my dad, who you'll get to see here in a little bit. And he was in assisted living, and I couldn't be gone and care for him at the same time. So I chose my dad over a captain spot, and I have no regrets over that at all. But anyway, my love is really tail well. I am passionate about tail well. Derek and I are partner instructors. We have a star, we have a super decathlon, and we love to do tail wheel training, and we love to do spin training. In fact, you can see on the wall right there, I actually set a world record back a year ago by doing the most number of spins in one flight. I actually did 100 spins. That's not 100 turns, that's 100 spins. So a spin, climb back out, spin, climb back out, spin, climb back. And it was actually an hour and 40-minute flight. It was a lot. It was a lot, but we are super passionate about spin training. But one of the other things we're passionate about is crosswinds, and that's why you guys are here. So let me get an idea of my audience. How many of you are, is everyone here a pilot, I assume? Okay. How many have a private license? Cool. You have more than a private. No, actually, you have a commercial. Okay, how about student? Oh, awesome, cool, perfect. Student, excellent. How many of you are instrument rated? Cool. Commercial pilots? Cool. How about CFIs? Couple. Very nice. Okay, cool. I just like to get a feel for my audience, so it kind of helps me understand. This is going to be participative. I'm not going to sit there and lecture with you. We're going to make this fun. This is going to last about an hour or so, and then when we're done, we're going to throw somebody in the hot seat in the simulator. This is a fantastic simulator. It's a full motion sim. Everything on here moves. The seat moves. The G1000 moves. The screen moves. Everything else. It does yaw, pitch, roll, and heave. So if I throw you in turbulence, you'll get bounced around like that. It's really immersive. Oh, and we use VR on top of that. And you'll see some examples of that. So you will feel like you're in the airplane. So it's pretty cool. All right, so okay, that's my little animation there. All right, so Crosswind Landings. This is brought to you by me, which is Motion Flight Sim, and Jet Access. Thank you for those guys. Jet Access is pretty cool. They are a full service company. They do maintenance, flight training, charter acquisitions, management, whole nine yards. So, and I'm also a fast team rep. So Chris House is my supervisor. He's from the FAA. So as a fast team rep, you'll actually get wings credit for this. So it's really important to make sure you sign in. Has everybody signed in here? Perfect. I'll get you wings credit here probably later on today. All right, the objective, we're going to brief theory, technique, and safe execution of crosswind landings and build confidence in pilots to better equip you to handle such landings. All right, moment of truth. How many of you are like crosswind landings are kind of intimidating or like, yeah, that's like, they're can be kind of daunting, right? So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about some decision making. We're going to talk about some theories. We're going to talk about a whole lot of things here. All right, what the heck is a crosswind, right? So a crosswind, it's wind blowing across the runway that's not aligned directly opposite to your direction of travel. Okay, if it's not blowing down the stripe, it's a crosswind. It may not be much, but it could be some. So every landing has some crosswind component unless the wind is perfectly aligned, right? Even 5 to 10 knot crosswinds require some kind of active correction. How many of you are tailwheel pilots? Yeah. And you know that crosswinds are a lot different in a tailwheel airplane than they are a nose wheel airplane. There's a whole lot of reasons for that, but their tailwheel airplane is going to be a lot more unforgiving. Okay? There's 2 components. We've got a headwind component and the crosswind component, which is going to be perpendicular to it. What we're really concerned about is the component. Think of the crosswind component as the effective crosswind. Okay? The crosswind component is comprised of the angular difference between the runway and the azimuth of the winds and the velocity. For example, 40 degrees 040 at 15 for runway 36 gives you a 9.6 crosswind component. However, if you switch that over another 40 degrees, look how that crosswind component added by 50%. The wind velocity didn't change. It's just that the crosswind component changed. Does that make sense? So the more you are towards 90 degrees, the more you're going to get out of that. All right, for you, how many of you are math geeks? I am not. Okay, so here's the mathematical formula to get this. Okay, we take the crosswind component equals the wind speed times the sine of the angular difference. All right, pull out your calculators. We're going to do a little exercise here. All right, everybody pull out a calculator off your phone, and you should have something that says like a scientific thing there. You should be able to pull up a scientific display. So we get the runway 36 at 040. So we got 040 at 18. What's the crosswind component based on that calculation? Somebody tell me. Right, here's the way we figure it out. 18 times the sine of 40 equals 13.41, blah, 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 blah. Did you guys get that? How many of you guys would do this in flight? If you do, you can leave now. That's just like, that's me right there. I can't, I don't think like that, right? So, how many of you had to do this for a private pilot or some kind of check ride? You're with the DPE and it says, okay, your winds are 040 at 15, such and such, and you had to pull out the chart. Well, we got a 50-degree crosswind here, and it's 18 knots. So we pull up here and we come down. So we go up and then down. And it ends up being 13.8. Great. How many of you carry a chart like this when you fly? Liars. Yeah, you probably can't get to it. It's probably in a, packed away in your PO8 somewhere, right? But let me show you a quick method. You ever seen this? 30, 45, and 60? How cool is that? So now let's do the actual math formula. 30 equals 50%. So 18 times the sine of 30 equals 9 or 50%. Does that make sense? 45, 75, 70.55. This is a little bit more conservative. And then this one here, 60 gives you 100% or 86.7. That's pretty good. So if you just figure 30, 45, and 60 is going to give you 50, 75, and 100. Pretty slick, huh? So you can just do the quick head math. And if you walk away with nothing else, remember this. 30, 45, and 60 gives you those numbers. How cool is that? I didn't know this until not too long ago. All right, so personal minimums. Should I stay or should I go? What are yours? Participate with me. What do you have for crosswind limits, or have you set crosswind limits for yourself? What are they?
Like when I was doing 172, I was at 11 cross.
Okay.
I felt comfortable before.
Okay.
Wasn't sure.
What about you?
I've landed crosswind 15 knots, but it wasn't a great.
Okay. Okay. What about you? You're not a pilot. Okay. Well, we'll fix that. What about you?
I got the same 11 in the Archer, but what always scared me is the gust.
Yeah.
You can't see that coming, like a constant wind.
Right. So in a tailwheel airplane, that's even more tricky. So I trained Derek in tailwheel training. And when I said, if I'm going to partner with a guy, I need to know this guy can handle this stuff. How many of you have ever been to Boone County?
Wow.
Yeah, a piece of crap runway is. How wide is it? 30 feet, right? 1836. So what were the winds that day?
20-something.
It was 18 gusts into 22 on a 90-degree crosswind in a tailwheel airplane. That's how hard I pushed him. And he handled everything, and I flew with him. But yeah, he's pretty good. But my point is that that's a lot of crosswind, especially when you got gusts, right? Because the gusts, like you see, it's a little harder to predict. And how many of you done what I call the ride 'em cowboy landing, where you're sitting there doing like this, and let's say, touchdown, good. I'm finally done, right? Things to consider: pilot qualifications. How long have you been flying? How much time you got? What's your comfort level? Recency of experience. When's the last time you flew? I flew last week. Great. It's been 25 years since I've flown. No, you don't need to be doing crosswind landing. Okay. I am safe. What does that stand for? Illness, medication, stress, alcohol, big. Well, I'd say it's.
The E always changes.
It was. It used to be emotion, and then they changed it to eating, but you can also say environmental or whatever, or external pressures. All right. What about aircraft type? You might be more comfortable in an Archer that you've got tons and tons of time, and now you're flying a 170. I need to kind of ease into this, right? I told you I got recruited to be a Bravo captain, and so I did a 6155, I think, ride it is, where you're qualified to Omni VOR. Now you're qualified to run as a crew. I was on a type rating, where it was basically 3 takeoffs and landings and a type so you can act as SIC. So I come over here and I was with Scotty Fairbairn, and we're going into Eagle Creek. Okay, we had 80 degrees, and it was 24 gusts on the 28 in the citation. So I did the exact same technique that I'm going to show you here in a few minutes. So I come in, I crab down the final, give it a ground effect, I go rudder to line, and on stop the drift, up and roll, down low nose wheel. Now, here's the difference. In a citation, like a Bravo, you plant that stick forward rather than pull the stick back. And the reason for it is you want all the weight on the nose wheel, because when you pop the thrust reversers, it can easily lose control of the airplane if you don't have the that nose wheel planted. Does that make sense? I pulled off the runway and I said, Scotty, you know this wasn't the best day to do this, right? He laughs. He says, yeah, but it's a test and you passed. So cool. So I'm going to show you that exact technique here in a few minutes. Okay? Other things, aircraft limitations. Know your limitations. I'll get to that in a second. What other factors might come into play in your aeronautical decision making?
Right.
Sure, absolutely. What else?
Familiarity here.
Yeah, absolutely. What else?
Surface, dirt versus asphalt.
Sure. What's going to be more forgiving? Grass. Yeah, I like flying on grass runways. They're so they make me look like a hero. It's like, man, that was easy. Right? What's that? Yeah. What about get theiritis? It's like, nah, I've got an anniversary date with my wife. I've got a recital with my daughter. Pick one, right? You've got external factors that might influence your decision making, right? All right, know your limits. Cessna 172, 15 knots. Your Archer 17 Bonanza, I think, is 20. Your Cirrus SR 22 is going to be 21 knots. By the way, Derek is our Cirrus aficionado. How many hours have you got in Cirrus?
About 1,000.
Yeah. So he does a lot of it. He's a CSIP instructor. DA-40, 25 knots in a DA-40, right? All these lift bug smashers out here, they go 25 knot crosswind. All right.
Where does that come from? I mean, the test pilot flew the airplane and demonstrated 15, 17 knots, whatever. But how do they decide that? I mean, is it they run out of rudder or?
No, I think that's, and this is conjecture on my part. Chris, you might be able to answer that. You got to answer.
The anecdote I always was told is dependent on if the pilot ate his Wheaties that morning. Because some people they take it out in like 172 and 15 knots, that's all they had that day, and like, oh, 15 knots, and then.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm thinking it's more, this is the most that they're comfortable saying it's certified to. That's conjecture on my part. Chris, do you have any input on that?
Not all I could say.
Okay. Is this a limit? No. Should it be a limit? Probably. We take the Stabia more than that, or the Super D. Okay. Match demonstrator crosswind. It is not a limit per se, but maybe it should be. Right. Other considerations: density, altitude, runway surface, gust factor, pilot currency, runway length, recency of flight, all those kind of stuff kind of comes into play. All right, so here's technique. Let's talk about taxiing. Right? So I got my guy here. Oh, he's supposed to taxi really slow. There he goes. Now he's taxiing like he's supposed to be. All right, so in this case here, elevate the back, right aileron. That makes sense? So this represents runway direction. Same thing here. Here. But look up here. So if you have a quartering tailwind, you think down and away. So if I'm going here and I've got a quartering tailwind from this way, what should my stick be at this point? Forward and right aileron. Okay? Which is a little bit antithetical, but it actually makes sense. Okay? All right, we're going to talk about two methods. We're going to talk about the crab method. We're going to talk about the wing low method. Okay? And in the crab method, what we're going to do, and this is what I personally use all the time, is the crab method. I've done it this way for 50 years. All right, so we're going to basically go into the wind, and then what we'll do is we're going to track down the center line like this. And then as you enter ground effect, we're going to go rudder to a line, and then we're going to go aileron to stop the drift. All right, so if you're going from point A to point B, forget landing, we're just going to go cross country, right? We're going from point A to point B. Sorry if you're online. I'm sure that was noisy. We do have some online people testing out our technology for today, so thanks for joining us. All right, so if you're going from point A to point B, you're going from Indianapolis to Evansville. You got a crosswind from your left. Do you hold rudder correction on that? No. We just go from here and we turn the airplane, so the airplane kind of flies in a crab, right? Because we're flying in a volume of wind. If we do this, we do nothing, the aircraft gets pushed to the right, right? So what we're going to do is we're just going to turn the aircraft in a crab. The difference between our track and our heading is wind correction angle, right? Now, on final, when I'm tracking down the final, it's no different. Other than three things. We're slower, we're configured different, and we're descending. But as far as maintaining our track, that's all we're doing. We're not holding rudder yet. We're not holding aileron. We're just tracking down the final. That make sense? So then once I get within ground effect, which is one wingspan of the aircraft, right? We're going to go right rudder to align, aileron to stop the drift. And then we're going to be in a what? Side slip. Okay? And now we're going to touch down on the upwind wheel, the downwind wheel, the nose wheel. The tail wheel is a little different. Okay? I'm going to talk primarily about tricycle gear today. So, crab down the final, rudder to align, aileron to stop the drift, upwind wheel, downwind wheel, nose wheel, and what else do we need to do? Yeah, and actually you'll need to increase your aileron. Why would we need to increase the aileron as we slow down? Absolutely. Absolutely. You have less air traveling over that surface, so our ailerons become less effective, right? All right. So we're going to touch down our upwind wheel first, then downwind wheel, then the nose wheel, and hold the aileron. Actually, increase the aileron as we roll out. All right, here we go. Right rudder, left aileron. All right, so good? Now, let's watch one. This was actually filmed in the simulator. That was to show you a 15-knot crosswind. Is what that was. Now, you can see right here, see the difference? Nose is pointing that way, the ground track's there. There's your wind correction angle. And as we get closer, what's going to happen, you're going to see that nose come to the right, and it'll be right rudder and left aileron. Then we're going to view it from behind the aircraft. Inner marker. A middle marker, I think it is. All right, just a second, you're going to see it turn. There it is. Here's your nose aligned. We're going to touch down on the upwind wheel. Slightly right, of course, on my that. All right, questions on that? That makes sense? Good. Now let's watch it from behind the aircraft. You can see, we're pointed here, there it is. You can see the right rudder, left aileron. We're going to track down the center.
Stop.
Up and low, down one wheel. Now what happens here? When I quit doing the crosswind corrections, yeah, I kind of go cattywampus, right? Because I just kind of let go of the controls and see what happened. It weather vane into the wind. Does that make sense? Give me feedback. What do you think of that? That's the way it works, right?
Now you put in the rudder just before you start flying.
I do. So my rule of thumb is ground effect. Okay.
That looked higher than ground effect.
It could have
Yeah,
been.
yeah.
It could have been. So what I want to do is right at the end about ground effect, then go right rudder and left aileron, rudder to a line, and then aileron to stop the drifts. Sorry about that. It's a little warm in here, but if I turn the AC on, it'll be like really noisy. So sorry about that. All right, does that make sense so far?
What about, one of the things I've always tried to do, or been instructed to do and tried as well, is trying to do the rudder and the aileron at the same time, and I find that I see you shaking your head, and I love to hear that feedback, because I've always felt like, okay, I get a line, but then I'm always still drifting. I'm not doing that in ground effect, and then I'm still drifting too much and trying not to get sideways or,
Personal way I do it and I teach it, I say rudder to a line, then aileron to stop the drift.
Advantages of that would be just
To me, it's more methodical. I hear people say, well, I'm going to put the aileron into the wind and use the rudder. It actually, I try to do both. And for me, from a teaching standpoint, as well as a practical standpoint, this actually works a lot better for me.
it makes sense to just, I always find that I'm, even when it's as I've progressed and long more hours, it's, slows down, I feel I have more time in ground effect and flaring. I still feel like I'm always having to compensate more than I really think I should have to for
Yeah, so
taking
try
costs.
it.
Just
try
because I'm
that.
trying to do it all at once.
Yeah, try that. When you get within ground effect, go rudder to a line, aileron to stop the drift.
So one, whatever.
And it's
That's-
whatever aileron you need to not drift, which may not be a lot.
One thing I've noticed, and maybe it's just my technique or whatever, but when you get down into the flare, it's you put in the correction, the rudder and aileron, get into the flare, and I find that wind up having to take a lot of that out
Mhm.
just before touchdown.
Why is that?
Because is the wind speed slowing down? When you get
Does.
to the runway?
Is it not unusual to have winds at pattern altitude very different than the surface winds,
Okay.
right? So
Okay,
as you're
that's
coming
what
in, so yeah, it is. So if you think about it, this is a very dynamic event, right? I was saying that I've got a few commercial pilots. What's the most failed commercial maneuver ever? Power off 180. Power off 180. And so the way I always taught the power off 180 is we never apply a static solution to a dynamic problem. Does that make sense? Is this a dynamic problem? Thank you, Captain Obvious, right? It's a very dynamic problem. So if you're thinking, well, I'm going to put in 5 degrees of angle bank and 8 pounds of rudder pressure, you can go ahead and leave now because that's not going to work. It might work part of the time. They say a broken watch is right twice a day. It may work part of the time. Okay, so to your example there, this is a very dynamic thing. So you use what you need. Don't think, I've got to have so much pressure here and so much angular difference here. No. Use whatever necessary. And don't overthink it. Just respond to the airplane, right? One of my favorite movies is Top Gun, right? One of the most famous lines in there is, don't think, just do. I trained a guy one time, and he told me up front, he says, I'm an engineer. Any engineers in here? Okay. You might have a tendency to overthink stuff, right? And he told me, he says, I will probably have a tendency to overthink. And boy, he did. I mean, it was like, okay, if I put it right rudder here, I might get some adverse yaw here. So I'm going to add, that's the way his brain was just, I finally said, don't think, just fix it. I said, just fix it. Okay. Learn how to fly the airplane coordinated. And we like to do one of our favorite things to do is to do a Dutch roll. And a Dutch roll was like this. You go along here and we say, see that point right over there on the horizon? I want you to do like this. And I'll do it like this. And I say, okay, your turn. And then, of course, they wallow all around like this and stuff.
And then they get sick.
yeah, that's true. That is a really easy maneuver to make somebody sick. Okay? But the whole idea is you're working with your hands and feet together. Okay? And you do just whatever's necessary. All right. This is actually a VR view from a guy doing a 15 decimal 20 of the Crosswind. This was in the sim last week, I think. That's it. That's an MQJ right out here. And he's an Archer, which is the same airplane as up there. But what you'll be able to see is when we're using VR, he's actually looking left and right. That's the actual view, what you would see in VR. And this same guy was pretty uncomfortable with crosswinds. By the time I got done with him, he was doing this. Oh yeah, and there was gust factors, turbulence, and all kinds of stuff. That's pretty much what it's going to look like in the airplane. Questions on that? All right, wing low method. How many of you use those? As a matter of course, rather than the crab and kick out?
I won't be able to do it as efficiently or feel as comfortable. Right.
Okay.
There have been one or two times, like, okay, the weather conditions, like, I know I can just maintain this all the way down versus the crab kick because there's an unfamiliar airport. It's like, don't really know what because you get that kind of change in terrain, creating that surface friction, so you don't really know what that hangar over there is going to do or that tree line is going to do. So it's just, let's try to be consistent.
Okay. All right, so in a wing low method, what's going to happen is here this guy is pointed straight down the stripe. And so we're doing, every crosswind landing ends up in a side slip at some point, right? Whether it's right down here or back here. What we're doing is we're taking that side slip right at the end and we're bringing it all the way back here. So what we're doing at this point, in this case here, we've got winds from the left. So we're going to go right rudder and left aileron. And we're going to come all the way down the stripe. All the way down, all the way down. So that's kind of what happens in the wing low method. So we go lower the upwind wing into the aileron with the aileron. Then we're going to bank into the wind. Okay. We're going to apply opposite rudder. In this case here, it's going to be right rudder. And then we're going to use left aileron. And we're going to side slip all the way down the final. And you don't have to do the kick out. Then you're going to touch down on the upwind wheel, main wheel, upwind wheel, downwind wheel, nose wheel. So it side slip all the way down the final. Here's what it looks like. All right, there's your right rudder. And then there's your left aileron. Now we're side slipping all the way down the final. Get a line straight. Does that make sense? I don't know why my audio is skipping so bad. See, we're still a line going right down the runway, right? And you can see, look at the horizon here. You can see I've got left aileron and here right rudder. And we're just going to touch down on the left wheel, right wheel, and the nose wheel. Make sense? Now, I will tell you, if I did this in the corporate world, I'd probably get fired for it. Why? Exactly, because my passenger was sitting there slammed up against the side of the wall going, what the heck is that guy doing? Now, if I do the crab and the kick out, they never even know it because they don't feel any G-forces pushing me to the side. So what we find when we're training someone to do crosswind landings, I had a guy named Dave. This was 20 some years ago. I was out of Eagle Creek, and I was trying to teach him how to do crosswind landings, and he just could not get this idea of come down here, get within ground effect, vertical line. He just couldn't do it. I said, all right, let's back up the bus. And I said, okay, we're turning final. Let's do a side slip right now. Right rudder, left aileron. Come down to the final. He says, okay, that makes sense to me. I said, great, let's do it again. Do it again. All right, now what we're going to do is we're just going to delay the point at which we start that side slip. So we're going to crab down here. Now halfway down, we're going to start the side slip. Okay, now a quarter mile, we're going to start the side slip. So what we did was got him comfortable with a side slip, and the only difference really was timing. Does that make sense? Pretty easy way to do it. So if you're a flight instructor, that's a pretty good way to go. I personally like the crab method much better because it's much more comfortable for my passenger. I've done it that way for a very long time. There's nothing wrong with this. Which one's right for you? Passenger comfort, yeah, the crab method's a little better. You get some moderate discomfort there. Touchdown alignment, you need to kick the rudder. You're already aligned in the wing low method. Gear side load, it's very low if you time it well. It's minimal on the crab, on the low wing method. Strong crosswinds takes a larger flare input, but in this case here, you may actually hit your aileron limit. But you got to decide which one is right for you. Safe execution. All right, this is kind of interesting here. Let's say I'm gonna give you a freebie here, and because we're going to talk about cross control stalls. Okay, Derek and I do spin training, and we actually do and I'm going to show you one here in a minute. We're going to do a cross control stall into a spin. And how many of you ever done one of those? A cross control stall into a spin?
Yeah, I did it as a student.
Really? Wow.
Solo student.
Wow. That's.
I went home, I landed the airplane.
Wow. And that was unintentional or intentional?
Unintentional.
Wow.
I screwed up across the controls.
And you lived to tell about it. That's impressive. Okay. All right. So, but we're going to talk about it in a second. All right. So let's say here I am. I'm eastbound. My winds are out of the south this way. All right. I want to land that way. I'm flying a 090 heading. What's happening to my airplane? Well, it's doing exactly what happens right here. Okay? Because I'm flying in a volume of wind, right? I'm not correcting for it. Like we're talking about going cross country where you have to have that wind correction angle. I'm being stupid. I'm not paying attention. So this is what I call the term I've used for 25 years is I'm pinching the base. So my base would normally be here, but because I'm not paying attention, the base is pinched. So far, so good. Now, what happens here when I turn northbound? What happens to my ground speed? Yeah, boy, I was like, ooh, I really picked up. What's the likelihood of me overshooting? Really, really strong. Really strong, right? So this is a perfect setup for the deadly cross control stall. I pulled this graphic and I love it. It says, here lies a bad presentation. I love it. All right, so here's what happens in a cross control stall. The pilot overshoots the final. Okay, so here's what happens. We overshoot the final and we say, oh crap, I just overshot, right? So we go pilot idle and we start to turn. So far, so good. Nothing's wrong with that. But my runway's over here. What do I start to do? I got to get there quicker. So what do you start to do? You start adding left rudder. So you start to skid. What's the airplane want to do? It wants to overbank. So what do? You add right rudder. Are you cross-controlled now? Yes. The nose wants to drop. You pull up and it goes boom like this. Chris, what's the likelihood of statistically, do you know how many cross control stalls are deadly?
You know how many times you play stump the chump with me?
I can tell you, it's about 48%.
Man, I thought I was there. I didn't guess that.
All right, so here's what happens. Aircraft drops 500 to 1,000 feet in seconds. Okay, when we do this, I tell people we typically lose 700 feet in about 4 seconds. Is that about right?
And we know it's coming and how to stop it.
Yeah, and we're immediately on it. But if you do this in the pattern, it will kill you. Okay? And we're going to show you one of those in a minute. By far, this is the most potentially dangerous of all the stalls. You know, there's typically 6 types of stalls, you know, power on, power off, accelerated stalls, secondary stalls, elevator trim stalls, and cross control stalls. If you're a CFI, you have to be able to demonstrate all of those. 48% are fatal. All right, let me show you one.
I'm going, oh man, I just shot through. So at this point here, I'm going to go power to idle. Now I'm going to start a left turn. I'm going to increase that left turn with a rudder. I'm going to skid it. Airplane wants to overbank, so I give right aileron, and it flips over and right into a spin. And I'm going to recover as soon as I can. And I'll 600 feet in about 5 seconds. Now, if you run final, if you do that, guess what? You will not make it. You will not survive that. Those flips are a lot better than skids. Flips are safer. Skids are bad. So if you're doing a skidding turn, that is a very dangerous spot. And what you need to do at that point is just go around.
All right, they're extremely dangerous. If you get yourselves in that spot, just go around. There's any shame in going around? No. Your family would be appreciative if you just said go around rather than trying to play Mr. Macho and then end up as a fatality. All right, when to go around. Go around is never a failure, right? When I was at one point in my life, I'm hopefully a little bit older, a little bit wiser, hopefully, and think, I don't want to go around. Let's just do it. I'm meant failure if I go around. You're not. You're executing good aeronautical decision making, right? When to go around, crosswinds exceed your aircraft or your personal limit. You're unable to track the center line on final. Control inputs are at near deflection. Gusts causing rapid, uncontrolled drift, unstabilized below 500 feet AGL. It just don't feel right, right? How many of you are twin or multi-rated? I know Tim is, okay. Do you guys know how to use differential power for crosswind?
Oh, that
For crosswind landing?
makes sense, but I don't think that's the thing we did.
Okay, is there a way to do it? Do you know how to do it? Which engine? Let me ask you this. You got a crosswind from your right. Okay. So we're so my question is would you add differential power to the upwind engine or the downwind engine? Which one? Downwind? How many say downwind? How many say upwind? How many of you don't know? All right, think about this. Here I am. I'm trying to commit. I run out of rudder authority. I can't bring the nose around. Okay? If my wind is coming from the right, I need to add upwind thrust because that gives me asymmetric thrust to yaw the nose around. So it's all, you're right, it is the upwind engine. You just didn't know why, right? So if you used a downwind engine, what would happen? If you add here, it's going to make it worse. Does that make sense? So in a twin, you know, if I was flying I got tons of 340 and 414, 421 times, stuff like that. So if I got to my limit and I needed more, I could bump the upwind throttle and give me more authority to land. Does that make sense? It's kind of weird when you think about it, but it actually makes sense, right? All right, common errors: misalignment of longitudinal axis, side loading the gear. That is one of the biggest complaints of flight instructors. You come in and you're landing and you come in like this, right? Most of the airplanes that we fly, internal aviation, aren't really equipped to handle that, okay? Inadequate or incorrect crosswind inputs. You're not doing enough. Failure to maintain crosswind controls after touchdown. That's one of my biggest gripes. I'm on the pavement, whoop, goes neutral, and we go, whoa, all over the place, right? Improper taxi procedures, allowing external pressures to drive ADM. It's like, get their itis, I got to get their, and you're pressured into making a decision that you probably shouldn't have made. Executing a procedure above the aircraft or the pilot capabilities. So stay in your lane, right? All right, crosswind landings can be fun and challenging, but they can be also stressful and even dangerous. You as the PIC must make the decision to continue to execute the crosswind landing, go around, or perhaps even divert to another aircraft where the conditions may be more favorable. Okay? Never, ever, ever let external pressures drive your decision making. All right, safety is always your top priority. Okay, you've heard this saying before: there's old pilots and bold pilots, but there's never no such thing as an old bold pilot. I'm going to introduce you to. This is my dad. He taught me to fly in 1971. You can cue that up. And for his 99th birthday, he got to go flying. I took him flying when he was 100. But Channel 13 did a video of him. You can click that link and I'll take it. You can click that. That's it. Click that link. You'll probably have to put through a. You'll probably have to put up with a commercial. You'll probably have to put through a. You'll probably have to put up with a commercial. You'll probably have to put through a.
Mark is for those who
You'll probably have to put up with a commercial. You'll probably have to put through a.
The courageous is the daring.
You'll probably have to put up with a
The spirited.
You'll probably have to put through a.
The courageous is the daring.
You'll probably have to put up with a.
The spirited.
You'll probably have to put through a.
The spirited.
You'll probably have to put through a.
Well, this is a great story, an extra special birthday celebration today for an equally special man from Noblesville. He happens to be a World War II veteran, and you could say he's taking 99 to some new heights today.
You bet. Justin Grove shares this story and the message for all of us in tonight's Inspiring Indiana.
Let's make a way up the airplane.
On John Haynes' 99th birthday, there was all the usual celebrating with family and friends, but
Let's
this,
make a way up the airplane.
on John Haynes' 99th birthday, is the icing on his cake with family and friends, but this,
I said, hey, would you be willing to take my dad up on his 99th birthday? And this gentleman, he says, absolutely.
Are you comfortable, Mr. Haynes? Oh, yes.
Pilot Trip Kelleher was happy to help with his 1941 Boeing Stearman. Not just any airplane either. This was the plane built to teach Navy pilots how to fly in World War II.
Yeah, we're going to transition to different things. Anybody brave enough? Okay, yeah, come on. All right, so hop up in here. Okay, yeah, come on. Is you're on the final for runway 25 at KMQJ. You got a 15-knot crosswind from your left. Right? I'm gonna unpause. Here's your flaps. Here's your flaps. Here's your flaps. And you can see.
Where's my trim?
Your trim is here, and it's here also. You can see. Look at here. We can look and see what you're doing.
Where's my traveling along?
Yep. Your trim is here, and it's here also. You can see. Look at here. We can look and see what you're doing.
Where's my traveling along?
Yep. Your trim is here, and it's here also. You can see. Look at here. We can look and see what you're doing.
Where's my traveling along?
Yep. Your trim is here, and it's here also. You can see. Look at here. And this is a finer control than that one is. Yep. Your trim is here, and it's here also. You can see. Look at here. And this is a finer control than that one is. Yep. Your trim is here, and it's here also. You can see. Look at here. And this is a finer control than that one is. He's just grabbing now, right? You probably don't have any rudder deflection either way, right?
No.
This is a finer control than that one is. He's just grabbing now, right? You probably don't have any rudder deflection either way, right?
No.
This is a finer control than that one is. He's just grabbing now, right? You probably don't have any rudder deflection either way, right?
No.
This is a finer control than that one is. He's just grabbing now, right? I don't know if you can see it or not there, but that's 14-knot crosswind to the right. This is a finer control than that one. He's just grabbing now, right? I don't know if you can see it or not there, but that's a little bit of right rudder, crosswind to the right. A little bit of left aileron, touch it down. Looking good. I don't know if you can see it or not there, but that's a little bit of right rudder, crosswind to the right. A little bit of left aileron, touch it down. Looking good. Nice. What do you think? See it or not there, but that's a little bit of right rudder, crosswind to the right. A little bit of left aileron, touch it down. Looking good. All right, cool. Nice. What do you think? Now, let's do this. You want to try it in VR?
Sure.
This is even more fun. All right, cool. All right, you can leave your glasses on if you want. Now, let's do this. What you'll do, you want to try it in VR, is you'll put your glasses on like this, and then bring it right. This is even more fun. All right, cool. All right, you can leave your glasses on if you want. And then there's controls to make this tighter. You want to try it in VR, is you'll put your glasses on like this, and then bring it right. If you need to tighten that up, you can leave your glasses on. And then there's controls to make this tighter. Now, look to your left, look at your wings. You'll put your glasses on like this, and then bring it right. If you need to tighten that up, you can. Hey, there you go. You're in the airplane. Now look to your left. And then if you want to zoom forward, you can like this, and then bring it right. If you need to tighten that up, you can. Hey, there you go. You're in the airplane. Now look to your left. And then if you want to zoom forward, you can like this, and then bring it right. The only thing you really need to know is where your flaps and where your throttle is. That's the only thing you really need to know. Now look to your left. And then if you want to zoom forward, you can like this, and then bring it right. The only thing you really need to know is where your flaps and where your throttle. goes. That's the only thing you really need to know. And then if you want to zoom forward, you can do that. The only thing you really need to know is where your flaps and where your throttle goes. That's the only thing you really need to know. And then if you want to zoom forward, you can do that. The only thing you really need to know is where your flaps and where your throttle goes. That's the only thing you really need to know. And then if you want to zoom forward, you can do that. The only thing you really need to know is where your flaps and where your
What's that?
throttle goes.
Did I get a notch of flaps then?
Yeah. You can actually see the flat panel move up right there.
Oh, very cool.
What's that?
Did I get a notch of flaps then?
Yeah. Because the Archer has manual flaps. You can actually see the flat panel move up right there.
Oh, very cool.
What's that?
Did I get a notch of
Who wants to go next? Yeah. Because the Archer has manual flaps. There we go. You can actually see the flat panel. 172 at Archer.
Oh, very cool.
What's that?
Did I
Archer?
get a notch of
Who wants to go next?
Judge.
Manual flaps. There we go. Yeah, yeah. 172 at Archer.
Oh, very cool.
What's that? Archer? Who wants to go next? Yeah.
Judge.
Yeah, yeah. 172. And we can simulate so much stuff here that we can simulate turbulence. We can simulate all kinds of stuff. Simulate so much hardline edge, you'll feel it. That the seat because the whole thing moves. We can simulate turbulence. We can simulate all kinds of stuff. Simulate so much hardline edge, you'll feel it. That the seat because the whole thing moves. We can simulate turbulence. We can simulate all kinds of stuff. Simulate so much hardline edge, you'll feel it.
That was a hard
the
landing.
whole thing moves. We can simulate turbulence. We can simulate all kinds of stuff. We got VR.
Very cool. Ooh, that was a hard
Hey, you can look all around the cockpit, left, right. Simulate turbulence. We can simulate all kinds of stuff. We got VR.
Very cool. Ooh,
Pretty slick, huh? Hey, you can look all around the
All
cockpit,
right, cool.
left, right.
Cool. Thank you.
Who's my next guinea pig? You want to come up? We got VR. You want to try the VR? Pretty slick, huh? Hey, you can look all around the cockpit, left, right.
Thank you.
Who's my next guinea pig? You want to come up? We got VR. You want to try the VR? Pretty slick, huh? Hey, you can look all around the cockpit, left, right. Who's my next guinea pig? You want to come up? Okay, so here we are on a, I think it's on a 3 mile final. And the this is your electric trim. This will actually allow you to 3 mile final, and that's going to recenter your view. And make sure the flaps is going to start with your flaps. This will actually allow you to 3 mile final, and that's going to recenter your view. And make sure the flaps is going to start with your flaps. This will actually allow you to 3 mile final, and that's going to recenter your view. And make sure the I'll lower that cockpit a little bit so you can see it slightly better. And that's going to recenter your view. And make sure the I'll lower that cockpit a little bit so you can see it slightly better. And that's going to recenter your view. And make sure I'll lower that cockpit a little bit so you can see it slightly better. That's a throttle mixture flex. Yeah, I'll lower that. We can actually set this up for a twin too. That's a throttle mixture flex. Now try and go ahead and do the side slip. We can actually set this up for so right rudder, left aileron, and see if you can track down the center line. Lay a little bit more right rudder there. Throttle mixture flex. Now try and go ahead and do the side slip. We can actually set this up for so right rudder, left aileron, and see if you can track down the center line. Lay a little bit more right rudder there. Throttle mixture. Now try and go ahead and do the side slip right now. Set this up so right rudder, left aileron, and see if you can track down the center line. Do that a little bit more right rudder there. There, that's what now try and go ahead and do the side slip right now. Set this up so right rudder, left aileron, and see if you can track down the center line. Do that a little bit more right rudder there. There, that's what now try and go ahead and do the side slip right now. Set this up so right rudder, left aileron. See, he's doing the side slip all the way down the final right now. A little bit more right rudder there. You can see, look at the angular difference between here and over there. So he's got, see, he's doing the right rudder, left aileron, his nose is right down the strike. You can see, look at the angular difference between here and over there. So he's got, see, he's doing the right rudder, left aileron, his nose is right down the strike. Very nice, power dial. You can see, look at the angular difference between here and over there. So he's got, see, he's doing the right rudder, left aileron, his nose is right down the strike. Very nice, power dial. You can see, so he's got, see, he's doing right rudder, left aileron, his nose is right down the strike. You want to try that with VR now?
Sure. I don't know if it'll go any better. First one on the screen. Are you recording this?
You want to try that with VR now?
Sure. I don't know if I'm going together.
Yeah, that's
First one is free. Are you recording this?
You want to try that with VR now? Yeah.
I don't know if I'm going together.
Yeah, that's
First one is free. Are you recording this?
You want to try that with VR now?
I
Yeah.
don't know if I'm going together.
Yeah, that's
First one is free.
There you go. All right. The only thing you need to know is your power, and then over here is your flash. That's the only thing you really need to know. All right, there you go. All right. The only thing you need to know is your power, and then over here is your flash. That's the only thing you really need to know. All right, there you go. Now, look to your left and all around the cockpit. Power, and then over That's pretty crazy, isn't it? That's the only thing you really need to know. All right, so when you combine motion with VR, left and all around the cockpit, the experience is quite immersive. That's pretty crazy, isn't it? That's the only thing you really need to know. All right, so when you combine motion with VR, left and all around the cockpit, the experience is quite immersive. That's pretty crazy, isn't it? In fact, I'll get to that in just a minute. So when you combine motion with VR, left and all around the cockpit, the experience is quite immersive. That's pretty crazy, isn't it? In fact, I'll get to that in just a minute. So I have a number of courses that I do. In fact, I'm going to give you guys something if you're interested. In fact, I'll get to that in just a minute. So I have a number of courses. I do a number of courses. Give you guys something. It's a coupon for $50 off. It's for any one of my courses that I do. Courses. It's good for like 30 days. If you attend it, stay in person for $50 off. It's for any one of my courses that I do. Courses. There you go. It's good for like 30 days. Basically, we do stall confidence course. We do a crosswind confidence multi-engine primer. It's good for intro to aerobatics. Basically, we do spin awareness. It doesn't qualify for spin endorsement. You have to do that in the airplane with Derek. Or me. Then I just have an hourly rate spin awareness. G1000, and you have to do that. I shot a 200.5 approach the other day. Then I just have an hourly rate spin awareness at night, and it was like really, really immersive. 200.5 approach the other day. Then I just have an hourly rate. Yeah.
Can you, so you're high on final, and you want to do a forward slip in a crosswind. Can you talk about
Sure.
your head's at on that?
Sure. Let me get him through this first. Looking good. Looking really good. Right or left aileron, just hold it off. Very nice. Beautiful.
The rudder is sensitive. So this is going to be twice, guys. I'm going to.
The old tire screecher, you. Is that crazy or what?
Yep, that is it's sensitive really well.
All right, so forward slip to landing with the wind. What should you do with your wing? And let me give an example of that. So here we are on final, and we've got a crosswind from the left, and we want to do a forward slip. What should I go this way? What should I do? What's that?
Towards the wind opposite rudder.
Do I do?
Forward slip's just a side slip. Right?
No, they're two different maneuvers. They're actually two different maneuvers. What's the main difference? The same inputs, but what's the difference? First off, this is one of my favorite sayings, or favorite questions for a CFI candidate. That's to say, what's the difference between a side slip and a forward slip? And they say, well, they're designed to do different things. I said, yes, they are. But what's the difference? And they go,
Forward slips to lose altitude and side slips.
that's purpose. That's correct. That's purpose. But what's the functional difference? It's the longitudinal axis of the runway, or of the aircraft. Let me explain.
Okay. So
Longitudinal axis of the runway. In a forward slip, you get really three things. You've got the longitudinal axis, you've got the extended center line, and you've got the flight path. In a side slip, all three of those are aligned, right? You're coming down, here's the runway, here's the longitudinal axis, and here's the flight path. They're all aligned in a side slip. In a forward slip, you need to offset the nose, because what makes a forward slip work is pushing that fuselage out to the side. Okay, so one of my very first CFI candidates I did, I was with Zach Morgan. He's a pilot at Republic now. I said, Zach, give me a forward slip to landing. We're at, I can't remember what it was. We're in the airport, and he says, give me a forward slip to landing. Nose doesn't change. He gives me right rudder and left aileron. I said, huh. I said, you know, the only drag that you created was controlled surface deflection. That was it. Now, do you guys remember the movie Crocodile Dundee? Right? They're in New York together. Guy pulls out a knife. He says, that's not a knife. This is a knife, right? So that's what I did with Zach. I said, Zach, that ain't a slip. This is a slip. And I went like this and come down. And he says, holy crap, I've never seen one of those before. Okay. And we slip in our airplanes pretty hard because we don't have no stinking flaps, right? Do you need flaps in an airplane? No, at least not the ones we fly. You got flaps in yours. Would I like to have them? Yeah, they'd be kind of nice, but I don't really need them because I can forward slip pretty effectively. Now, to answer your question, what do I do with the airplane? Crosswind from the left. Aileron goes into the wind. So this way, this aileron goes into the wind because we want more of that relative wind perpendicular as we can on the fuselage. Because if I do it this way, that relative wind is not as effective as it would be if it was this way. Does that make sense? Now, let me address one more thing here. And I'm going to talk about a base to final slip. I love doing a base to final slip. Have you guys ever done one? I know you have. All right, base to final slip. And if you're a commercial applicant, you have to do a Power 180, this is a really effective tool. Okay, so on a base to final slip, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say I'm here and I'm going to land there, and I'm on base. I need to get down to altitude. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the turn to set up my slip. Okay, so as I turn here, then now I've got my angle that I need, 30 to 45 degrees off the runway, and I can start my slip from right here rather than going here and then turning the airplane another way. So I can use the turn to set up the slip. So as I'm coming around here. Now, let's say that my wind is coming from this side. Okay, here's my runway, and I'm going to turn, I'm going to go my base to final turn. I'm going to start my forward slip right here. Do I use right or left aileron? And which rudder?
You need to use right because you want to expose.
Right aileron and left rudder?
I think right rudder.
What?
You said it's coming off the right, wind's off the right hand side.
Wind's out that way. So you would use left rudder and right aileron?
Trying to think through it.
Because you want the nose to come
Yeah, because I
around
want to
and
expose that side.
All right.
I want to expose that side of the fuselage.
Where's the wind coming from?
Wind's coming from that way.
You can move it around.
So you gotta go right aileron down, right aileron.
Wrong. And I'll tell you why. Remember, we're doing a base to final slip. So if we're coming around here, remember that cross control stall I just showed you a few minutes ago? Right rudder, left rudder, right aileron. Guess what? Perfect setup for a cross control stall.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? This is the same exact scenario. So if I'm doing a base to final slip, always, 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 always use the outside rudder. I don't care what the wind is doing. Always the outside rudder, never, ever, ever the inside rudder, because when you do the inside rudder, you're doing this. Then in a stall, the nose will go wherever the rudder is pointed.
That's going to push you down. Okay.
So if I use left rudder and right aileron,
if you had a left crosswind, still use that outside.
the wind is an operational advantage. It's not a safety factor. If you do a skidding turn like that, you go left rudder and right aileron, that's a cross control stall waiting to happen. So if you do a base to final, hear my heart on this. Never, ever, ever, ever use the inside.
So I was
It's
thinking
always
shallow way to turn and let the drag, slower turn, but let the drag bring it down.
so. What I do is I slip pretty hard. Yeah, I think I probably got 1,500 feet a minute with you, probably something like that, right? When you're coming down, it's like coming down. And a base to final slip, which is really cool. You can turn, and then right here, I go full right rudder to the stop, and I use that left aileron to bring me down like this. Then you use the ailerons to guide you to the runway. So does that make sense? When I'm talking about a base to final slip.
Despite the fact that crosswind was coming from the right.
Yes. Now what?
Is that because it's from the right versus the
Now,
left? Right.
now I kind of baited you for that.
No, that's fine. Yeah, I mean that's I'm glad you're talking about it.
Yeah, and you took my bait, thank you. So, but the whole idea here is if you're doing a base to final turn, always the outside rudder. Now, under normal conditions, now let's say I came around here and want to go the other side, then yeah, I would put the right aileron into the
When I
wind.
found myself in a situation like that, I'm immediately going around because I don't know how to do that well or even to think that way.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Because I just find myself in a position where I'm not lined up. I've got to make a harder turn that I'm comfortable with, and I'm just going around.
Yeah.
And obviously why I put myself in that pinch space we talked about something similar.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, questions for me. Did you find this helpful? I hope.
Absolutely.
Good. Build your skills. Get with the CFI. And one of the things I always like to do is, I encourage CFIs not to run from the problem, but run to the problem. I've seen CFIs that I look at CFIs as being kind of generational. I got 14, soon to be 14 grandkids. So I've got, my kids and grandkids and stuff like that. So I look at that in terms of, like from a CFI perspective, people I train that they train. I got probably great grandkids at this point in the CFI world, right? But I always want to see my CFIs run to the problem. You don't coddle the student and go, oh, when's it really better? Let's go to Crawfordville today. And they never build muscle, right? And some of you may have had a CFI like that that was always like, well, no, wait, we'll just go over here. The winds are better. No, if someone was doing a CFI check ride with me, I would go, the wind's coming from that way, so we're going to go to Putnam County today because the winds are worst there today. That's where we're
the roaches always.
What's that?
The roaches coming with the hangers and
yeah, exactly. But because I want to see what they're made of. I want to see that they can actually do the job. I had one guy going into Hendricks, and I can't evaluate what I can't test, right? If it's a pretty calm day, the closest thing I can get to testing crosswind landings is verbal, right? But if the winds are blowing, I like 15, 20, even gusting 25 knots, we'll go, okay? Even a tailwind, I'll go, or a tail dragger, I'll go. But the point is that we want to build muscle to where you go into an airport, it's like, okay, I can do this, right? I had, and one of the things that really helps with a simulator is it's a really cheap way to get up to speed on stuff where we're doing that. So what I do is I get people in the sim and we start out like at 10 knots, and then we get 20, and then we get 20 and or 25, and then we'll do chop, and like pretty soon it's like, okay. I had a guy, and with this I'll close and let you guys go. Paul Belial is who it was. He came in and spent an hour with me. And then the very next day, he goes out actively looking for crosswinds with his instructors. And he said it made all the difference in the world. So, okay, any other questions? And I'll let you go. I will stay here as long as you guys want. If you guys want to fly the sim, you're more than welcome. I'll stay as long as you want to. But at this point, make sure everybody has signed the thing, and I'll get you guys wings credit. And thanks for coming. Great. Thank you. Does anybody else want to fly the sim? Come on.